here we are for qualifying for KartStars Round 1. They sort of send us out with gaps in front and behind to try to cut down on the drafting side of things. Anyhow, short story longer, the cart in front of me had a little bit of a gap, and this sort of gap is basically perfect what you want for these qualifying laps. They're just enough ahead of you to give you that aerodynamic boost that you're looking for, the little human DRS, and allows you to sort of shoot past them down the straightaway. I think that was actually my fastest lap of the session, which was one of the first laps of the session. From there, it was consistent on the lap time, but it was a couple tenths slower. I was looking for the sort of that next cart in front of me to get behind. Just wasn't the case. There was too much of a gap there. Then was looking around behind me to see if there was someone nearby that would give me a bit of a push. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case either. So such is life on those ones. We just let the 492 slip past just to see if we can try to get a run. I was anticipating this was going to be the last lap for qualifying, and I knew that lap earlier wasn't going to be quite enough for the pole on that one. But you know what? Such is life on those things. So try to sneak behind him to get a little bit of that DRS going. Wasn't quite the case, unfortunately. But still ended up qualifying P4, and quite happy about that one. the system works on the KartStars weekend is we got 6 sessions throughout the day. We practice in the morning, qualifying just after. Qualifying sets the starting order for both Heat 1 and Heat 2. Results of those plus qualifying set the starting order for pre-final. Finishing order pre-finals sets the starting order for the finals. Here we are sort of in the middle of Heat number 1. Actually ended up with a half-decent start for once. Again, something we got to work on, got to perfect down the road, but that's all right. That's what we're here for. Onward and upward, get better and better each time we're out there. Slotted into 4th position for the first number of laps, and as you just saw, throw it down the inside through the first few corners of the lap to get that 3rd place position. And as you'll notice for the next number of laps, that's the way we are going to stay. Was the order we were going to stay for at least a little while. We had a couple laps to go. Heat number 1, the 442 makes a nice little move up the inside through 9. The two of us had been working together quite well throughout the race, build up some good pace to stick with those top 2. The leaders, they were just able to hammer out good lap after good lap, so it was tough to really catch them and narrow that gap. So when the 442, I saw him coming up the inside. I didn't try to force the issue. I kind of let him go, thinking like, all right, maybe you're quicker in a few different areas than I am. Let's use those differences in gear. Maybe you'll be able to pull me further down the straightaway or out of the corner or something along those lines, and we'll really gain a lot of traction on the leaders. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. We were managing to get a little bit closer by a little bit. By the end of the heat, we were quite close to them, but still just not enough to get there and onto that bumper and get around. But such is life on those things. Ended Heat 1 in P4. Here we go. P4, heat number 2. Let's see how we do this time around. Quickly rolling up here to the start. Hopefully we can capitalize similar to what we did in the first heat. but fingers crossed, you never know how things are going to play out for you. The inside line ends up getting quite a good run on us. Basically, first two and a few others get up there in front of us. Not sure exactly what happened or how we ended up in this little predicament, but as you can see, we ended up on the back bumper, or over top of the back bumper of the 477. Clearly he's not too impressed about it, or am I not, the way either one of us wanted to start that second heat. Sort of just shut us both down. Felt terrible about it. Not the way I wanted to start it, and felt pretty bad about where the cart ended up, and not just that it messes up my heat, but that something like that can mess up someone else's heat. But so sorry to him for that one. I owe you one out there one day. But from there, since I'm at the tail of the field now, it's time to put your head down, knock out some good laps, and see if you can't catch up to a few of the guys towards the back of the field, or if anybody else has any issues. We ended up doing not too terribly in this heat. Back to about 21st is where we were at the end of lap 1. By the end of it all, hammering out lap after lap after lap, I felt like I was being fairly consistent with it. I never had any drafts, so there was that, but it sounded like some other folks had some issues during this particular heat, so we ended up not doing too terribly and finishing in the 14th position. As we come near the end of the second heat here, I just want to point out to everyone, if you take a look to the, as you're coming down the main straight, the right hand side of the track, to see the change of color in the sky, which as you'll see shortly here, becomes a major issue for us for today and for the weekend. You're going to see some videos here in a second that show some during and after shots of the tornado that swept through the track on the Saturday. Thankfully, no major injuries to anyone in attendance. It mangled, I think, every single canopy and tent that there was in the entire facility. But onward and upward until to the next race day. The tornado did cancel the race day and the race weekend, but it sounds like it'll be rescheduled for later on in the year, back at Goodwood again. So we all get to try this all over again. I just want to do a special shout out also to my parents, who made the long trek down from Northern Ontario to come watch this race day. Well, it was supposed to be for the weekend, but became a very short race day of watching. But thanks again for making the trip down, and enjoy some extra footage here coming up.